Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We invite everyone to find a seat, those who are in the sanctuary, in a sparse sanctuary tonight. We didn't want to be here in this sparseness again. I thought we thought we might be through that moment, but clearly we're not. And so wherever you're joining us from, we all need to take a deep breath for this particular moment of this particular Shabbat, knowing that we're all connected in deeply meaningful ways, that we've been connected at a distance and close for many, many months, and we will continue to be woven into that story together. And though we may not want to be particularly in this moment of the story of the pandemic, we always want to be in this moment of Shabbat, which is to say that there's a space to go to a different place and find a different voice, feel a different rhythm, breathe differently, walk differently, and connect differently. So I invite us, as we begin with the Yedid Nefesh on page 10 or on page 252, to open up to that difference and what the potential of what Shabbat does to changing what this moment is to be something else. Yedid Nefesh.
Yeah.
Page 11 or page 254.
High
יבשו כל הפתפס המטלים ושתו שמה ותשמח ציון ותגרנה בנות יהודה למען משפטך
מיד רשעים יצילם
וזרעו על הצדיקים ולישמע לב שמחה שמחו צדיקות באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו מזמור שיר לאדוני שיר חדש page 17 page 18 258 פיצחו רננו וזמרו לדמרו לאדוני
הים ומלואו תבל ויושב בה נהרות עמך וכף יחד הרים ירננו ושמואל בקורא שמו קוראים אל אדוני והוא יענה והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Please rise if you're able, page 21 or page 260.
מזמור לדעת אבו לאדוני בני
Shabbat Shalom. be seated. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
This week we complete the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis. Yaakov has a momentous end to his life with the gathering of his children by his bedside. And also Yosef dies in the last pasuk, the last verse of this week's parasha. And tomorrow morning, upon reading that last verse, we will recite the words, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek, be strong, and let us be strengthened. It feels as if the book of Bereshit is wrapped up in wholeness. It's a full cycle. While the parasha concludes momentously, commentators note that the beginning of the parasha is what's called stuma. It's sealed. There is actually no break between last week's parasha, Vayigash, and this week's parasha, Vayichi. So for those who are actually Torah readers, you have to work hard to find the beginning of the parasha, because normally it stands out because there's an open space between one parasha and another, but not this week. And of course then, our commentators, because they believe everything is divine and every aspect of how the Torah is constructed is divine and means something, ask the question, why? Why is this week sealed? Why is it stuma? Rabbi Meir Yechiel of Ostrovitz, a Polish 19th century, actually he was 20th century, he died in the 20th century and was born in the 19th century, has an answer to that question. And he says the reason the parasha is sealed, it's because the parasha is on the borderline between past and future. In the previous week's parasha, Vayigash, Yaakov was still alive, while the following one, Shmot, the book of Exodus, begins. We begin with, he says, the first signs of redemption, of our deliverance. Here, he says, the Israelites are in a kind of limbo, far away from the beginning of their people's story and far away from their future redemption. Therefore, there were no signs to indicate to them where they were going, and the uncertainty is reflected in the absence of a real break between last week's parasha and this week's. The seal is about concealing, not knowing where we are. That sense, even if you're a Torah reader, of looking for it, but being uncertain whether you will be able to find it easily. And perhaps we too are living in a space that is sealed, a space of stuma. This uncertainty with the rapid spread of the Omicron variant, offices and schools and shuls shutting down again. Although we decided this week that we would keep it at a cap of 50 people in the room, and we'll see how things play out next week. And the sense that we were moving through this pandemic that we've been living in for almost 2 years and seeing some lights now feels less clear. And the constancy and the stubbornness of this virus makes it feel as if we don't know where we are anymore. We are far from March of 2020, and it's important to remember that. We are really far from March of 2020. But the signs of finding our way out of this pandemic seem far from certain. Another understanding of the closeness, of the sealedness of this parasha is from the Sfat Emet. It says, with the death of Yaakov, the eyes and the hearts of Israel were closed as a result of the spiritual servitude that began when Yaakov dies, meaning that the spiritual light that they had towards moving towards a redemptive state went away with Yaakov's death, even though we don't They're not enslaved actually until next parasha in the book of Shemot, but they were feeling that sense of loss and not actually, and being in the grips of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. So much, says the Svat Emet, says that their eyes could no longer see and their hearts could no longer feel what was right and what was wrong. And so too, there is so much mourning and pain. I know many of us probably saw that headline that 1 in 100 of every older adult has died in this country from COVID. It's an astounding number. And there is no end in sight, and there is still not a nationwide collective commitment towards the common good with regards to masking and vaccinations, and even to testing and access to health care, and all the challenges that our country faced pre-COVID. Forget the commitment to what it means to be a global community in this moment, and the access to vaccines all over the world. But while this parasha describes this state of being stuma, of being sealed, and that overwhelming sense of closedness, of uncertainty, of eyes closed and hearts closed, it describes its lack of moral clarity. It's not what our tradition prescribes. It is the description of what is in the moments as the book of Bereshit ends. But I don't believe that that is what our tradition is telling us to be, what the tradition prescribes to us. Because in general, our tradition asserts love over fear. And in general, our tradition asserts openness over closeness. And in general, our tradition asserts faith amidst uncertainty and a push for hope amidst despair. And there is reason to hope. When one thinks about where we were in March of 2020, there were no vaccinations. There were no pills that we assumed were going to keep people out of serious illness. We have acquired wisdom to know how to find our way through, and to find our way spiritually through the uncertainty. And we will find our way. There is a principle in the tradition, Yerida Letzorach Aliyah, that we go down in order to go up. Now, I don't know that God wants us to go down, but in feeling the sense of down, we know how to go up. And I want to say that one of the things that has been so profoundly moving over the last almost 2 years is the way community comes together to hold us up. That when we weren't ever, no one was in the space, it was just the 3 of us or 2 of us. No musicians in another room, that we found a way to hold together and walk. In the room, outside the room, on the phone, through Zoom. We have found ways to find our way. Through song, even if we couldn't hear one another. Through Torah, through making phone calls. And through committing also, for the sake of the common good, to be safe, and even if that meant to be separate. So, though the Torah in this moment is closed, and we may have had to close more doors this week, and we may in the coming weeks just have to stay more at home, our hearts and our eyes need to stay open. And we will need to search for the right over the wrong, for the common good over individual needs. And we will find signs that point the way to redemption. And we will hold each other through it. And we will conclude at some point, someday, with this story, whatever the book concludes to say, Chazak, Chazak, Benit Chazek, we will be strong, we will be strong. Let us be strengthened by the ways we can walk together. We turn now to L'Chadodi on page 23 or page 262.
קודשי ולא תקלבי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תאמיני, בך יחסו אני העמי, ונבנתה עיר אל תירא. לך דודי לי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Maybe sit in. Sometimes it just takes a little lechadodi, to just lift it up a little bit, let it out a little bit, release a little bit, feel a little bit of the joy of Shabbos, and let it all sink in a little bit more, and find a place that we can be open and sing a song to Shabbat. There are many songs to Shabbat, but now we're going to land at Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, the actual song for Shabbat, on page 27 or page 266. We'll daven at the beginning and join together for Magadlu. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat.
מזמור שירי השבת
Memonatzah.
Hallelujah.
B'Shem K'mo Yisem Yitzitzu Kol B'Olei Olam Yishem. Hinei Oivech Adonai Ki Hinei Oivech Yaleinu Yerpanim. Tzadik Katama Yifrach Erez Lomenon.
להגיד כי ישעיה צורי ולא עוולתה בו
Adonai Malach Yelavesh Lavesh Adonai Yosita Zav Tzivante Batam Yikon Yatam And Yotecha
We continue with Mariv on page 39A or 279. We invite you to rise if you're able. That nigun is called the nigun of the birds, and an invitation for us to continue soaring as we enter the evening service. We rise again, page 39A.
את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivarachna v'armivasana protection.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו חי וקיים תמיד מלחמנו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים.
Page 40 or page 282. אהבת עולם ותיזהר חבת תורה מצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו ומעלת על כן. צמח דברי תורתך ונתתך ולמד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ונגע יום הקבלה ובתך תשים ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם בבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובמובנך וקשרת מאוד ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבת המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך ובשמות
Continue on page 43A ואמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו כי אדוני לפעמים תחילת אדם שמע כי נגענו מכל חיקר ונקבע את העדים מספר הסמנה שלנו page 44 or page 290.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לך נשירה בשמחה רבה יפדה אדוני את יעקב, גאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו.
Page 45, page 292.
יתקדע ויתקדש שמי רבה ועמדתי רק ירצה ואמליך מלכותי בחיי יחונו יום אחד ובחיי תחומת ישראל בהגעה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן ישמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם היה יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתרומם ויינשא ויתעטר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי תקדשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמינן בעלמא
We turn east for the silent Amidah, page 47 or page 296. a moment of silent prayer. Vaychulu, page 314 or page 53. Vaychulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzeva'am vaychalu b'yom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishbo b'yom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vaykadesh oto ki bo shama mikol melachto asher Elohim לעשות.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא עליון קונה שמיים וארץ
מגן אבות ביתו וחיים ביתים לעם בו האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו
המניח למו ביום שבת קודשו כי גם רצה להניח לב
לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד
לאון הברכות אלון האות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומורך שביעי
מניח בקדושה לעמד ישני עונג זכר למעשה בראשית
אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו אמותינו רצה במנוחתנו קדשנו מצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך זבנו מטובך ושמח נפשנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שעות קודשך וינוחו וישראל לקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Continue with Kaddish Shalom, page 54 or 314.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעלם דברי קילותי במליך מלכות וחייכונו ויומכונו בכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן לשמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך
ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתיישב קדושה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן
תקבל תונבותון נכו יצרח ונעון משמעי ואמרו
אמן יש למה רבה מנשמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
Page 318 or page 55, we sanctify the day with Kiddush.
סברי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Continue with Hamalach Hagoeloti, page 692, or you can find it in the handout. And this bracha comes from Vayechi, from our parasha this week, a beautiful bracha that Yaakov gives to his grandchildren, and a blessing that we open up to our children, to our grandchildren, and to all of us as we open our eyes and our hearts, as Felicia so beautifully spoke about earlier. We sing together. The blessing for our children, page 75 or 722. Blessing of asking God to shine God's beautiful light upon each of us, especially on our children, and welcoming hopefully more children back into the sanctuary. We have a few where we send blessings to all who are here, near and far. Simcha Elohim ke Ephraim v'Menashe, Simech Elohim ke Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Amen.
We continue with Aleinu, page 56 or 320.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוס.
ואלוהינו אינו נבמותינו בסודתו ככתוב בתורתו.
שמיים תחרינו עד על כן נקרא לך
על כן יקרא לך
מן הארץ אלוהים תגנו ושאלה יכולים לעשות ובשאלה כל שבגיר כל
ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ויהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Continue with Mourner's Kaddish on page 58 or 324, inviting those who are in the sanctuary to remain standing and those who are joining us on Zoom to unmute and rise if you're able. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba ve'alma dibra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yeshmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'omel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei t'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalama Rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May be seated. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Our community sends our sincere condolences to our members and their families, Joshua and Rachel Lubarski and their children, Eli Goldenberg and Reuben Lubarski, and Maxwell Schmeck on the death of Joshua's father, Elliot Lubarski. And we say Menand on the birth of their daughter, Maeve Menand, and we also extend a Mazal Tov to Maeve's grandmother, Emily Abrams. And we also say Mazal Tov to Penina Shram on the engagement of her grandson, Aaron Zarfani and Amanda Benros. Mazal Tov to them. And an important update for those who are here with us, you can see that we have a sparse sanctuary, and this is as we're watching the COVID numbers going up. Unfortunately, there's a lot of concern, and we, throughout the entirety of the pandemic, have been making sure to stay cautious, and that is what we will continue to do. And so we are asking that only those who have registered are coming in person this Shabbat, and we're limiting the number of people who will be with us. And we ask that everybody who's here wear a surgical mask or a KN95, making sure to keep us all as safe as possible. And we have a lot of gratitude to our entire team who has enabled us to continue to be together in person, and a lot of gratitude to everyone for working with us. And we hope to continue to be here as safe as possible as we continue to watch things unfold. And you can always find information after Shabbat on our website, and we'll make sure to communicate as best as possible as we're moving forward and working with our task force to ensure health and safety and the ability to be together in community from near and far. And with that, a reminder, we'll be back here at 9:30 tomorrow morning for services, and inviting those who are registered to join us. If you aren't, we look forward to being with you virtually. And all family services tomorrow are going to be virtual. So this was a big shift right before Shabbat. A reminder that both the early childhood service and Kulanu, which is our 3rd through 6th grade, and their families will be virtual on our Facebook Live page, and we look forward to praying together and hearing your voices from afar. And after enjoying Shabbat morning together and hopefully a very lovely Shabbat, even though they're short, we still soak every moment out of our Shabbat day and our Shabbat evening. We'll gather at 5:20 for Aravit and Havdalah on Zoom. Everyone is welcome. And on Sunday morning at 9:30 for Minyan, 9:30 on Sunday morning. And this is a reminder that over the coming week, with vacation and people away and also people on the more cautious side, we are asking that you sign up for Minyan in person. It will be in the sanctuary. There's information, again, on the website. You can see that after Shabbat, but we ask you to join us to make sure that we can read Torah. That will be on Monday and Thursday for the coming weeks. And on all of the national holidays, we'll be meeting at 9:30. Other than that, we'll be together at 8 a.m., and it's always multi-access. So it'll be here in person and also accessible on Zoom as well. And in the coming week, on Sunday, we have the opportunity to learn together about Shemitah in Eretz Yisrael. We're in a Shemitah year, and we're learning about that and what it means for us today in our lives. At 10:30 a.m., you can join us for Torah of Israel. We have the chance to learn with Professor Yehuda Mursky, who's going to give a teaching on Rav Kook and Shemitah in the land of Israel. It should be fantastic. And then on Wednesday, December 22nd, at 9:30 through 5 p.m., Hadar's Rising Song Institute is going to be happening here in this space, which is a beautiful partnership that we've had for, I think, many years at this point.
I think this is the 4th.
Yeah, 4th year. So it's a really incredible opportunity of singing and joy and spirituality through song, not only on Shabbat, but during the week. And there, I believe, is still some space available for the virtual Beit Midrash and also other opportunities. So we invite you to join whatever you can, whether here in the building or virtually. And then on Thursday evening, please God, hopefully this will be able to happen in person. We're going to have the Joey Weisenberg and the Hadar Ensemble live concert, which is needed registration beforehand and also will be accessible on Zoom. And just a reminder that if you're attending this concert in person, that you must have a PCR result, a negative PCR result within 72 hours. But I will also say that, like everything, we're watching and we will be in touch with any information that's needed about gathering here in person and ensuring all of our safety. And with that, we'll conclude.
I just want to say one other thing, which is one member of our task force, Professor Jennifer Hirsch, who's a public health professor, said a year ago, she said, this is going to be years, the pandemic. And she said, we have to, as a community, hold the mental health of our community close. And so as we anticipate another pullback, I just want to say it is brave to acknowledge if you are concerned about your mental health. And as a Jewish community, it is not failing to, if you aren't feeling well in terms of your stability or your own sense, whether it's depression or anything, given what we've been going through, the mental health challenges have risen in profound numbers, and that is less visible when people are not coming. And so we just want to say, once again, one, if anyone is ill physically, but if you're mentally, there is support, and the Jewish community has support. We have support here at BJ, and we want to make sure that we hold each other and not look away from these issues which need to be addressed because people are in need. And so we just encourage folks to reach out to us as the rabbis. We also have a social worker on our staff, as well as there's many other organizations to support mental health. But we just want to be clear and state directly, it's courageous to ask for help. And that's what community is here for. So we will continue to say that throughout these weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we'll conclude by welcoming our angels and supporting one another. Page 73 or 722. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Adonai Yivarech et Amav Bashalom. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.
Shabbat Shalom.